South Carolina, they ran out of their execution juice, you know, like the, yeah, the chemical they use for lethal injections. So now if you're on death row in South Carolina, you get two choices. Either the electric chair or the firing squad. So I say, go with the firing squad. Like, definitely refuse the blindfold. Beg for mercy. Like, if Uncle Sam says you gotta die, you might as well take the mental health of 5 National Guardsmen down with you. Like, your goal is to make the therapy bills so high that the government just can't afford to execute its own citizens anymore. Like, so yeah, no, humanity is pretty disappointing sometimes. Like, say nothing about the crimes that we do to each other and what we're doing to the planet right now. We built our entire civilization on an ancient dinosaur burial ground. And now we have the audacity to dig up their bones and put them on display in museums for children to gawk at. And we act like all of our social problems aren't just the result of an ancient dinosaur's curse. So I was at the store recently, and I saw a package of tortellini that had the legend of how tortellini was created on it. And you guys ready for this? Because you're not gonna guess how it was created. So apparently there was, like, in medieval Italy, there was a war going on, and like Zeus and Aphrodite came to watch. And then afterwards they went to an inn, and they got too drunk and decided to have take a room there for the night. And the innkeeper decided it was time to do some peeping, so he went up to the keyhole and looked in and saw the navel of the goddess Aphrodite. He was so inspired by this that he ran down to the kitchen and immediately invented the tortellini. And my immediate thought was, what kind of pasta do you think we'd have if he'd seen her butthole? No, that's a really weird thing to print on your package too. Like, yeah, this thing was invented by a pervert. So, yeah, in 2020, I worked for the census. It was a very interesting job. I wanted to meet America, and ended up seeing America's barely hanging on at this point. Like, things are pretty bad out in America. There was one house that I was sent to that had multiple enumerators that had already been there at one point. And I go up to the house, and it's got a sign on one side of the door that says, "We don't call 911." It has a picture of a handgun, and on the other side it says, "We dial 357. Another picture of a handgun. So okay, yeah, well, I'm obligated to at least knock on the door. Hope to God this guy's not home. So knock on the door, and immediately hear they go, "Oh, goddamn it!" Then the guy comes up, opens the door, takes one look at me standing there with my government ID and my bag, and just goes, "No!" Slams the door on me. And that was a lot of work at the census. Yeah, and a lot of people who don't respond to the census also have guard dogs. I didn't realize how effective guard dogs were before I worked for the census. The majority of people in America who have guard dogs definitely do not respond to the census. And they put their mailboxes behind where the guard dog can get to because they don't want mail. They don't want people bothering them. So there's one house that I went to that was like this. And the guy, there were 2 doors to the house, and one of the doors I could tell, the dog's chain wasn't long enough to get to, so I'm like, oh cool, I can at least, leave a notice of visitation here. So I go up and knock on the door, then I hear, a chain rattling, and I look over and realize, oh no, there's a lot more chain that this dog has access to. I didn't realize, I'm totally within range. So I book it out of there right before this dog, it's snaps up at the end of the chain, it's full length right before I can get out of there. It was exactly the chain chomps in Mario? Oh, yeah. It was exactly like that. Mario was an extremely accurate video game. That is exactly how it is in real life. So, also this summer I worked as a private security guard. It was terrible. It was extremely dangerous, and paid a whole lot because it was extremely dangerous. And there was one point when I got sent to this job at 6 o'clock. My boss messages me hey, you want to spend a 12-hour overnight shift at Washington apartment complex downtown? And I'm I guess. So I pull up to this apartment complex, and this guy walks out. It took me a minute to register, oh, this is the other security guard I'm working with. Because this guy was not dressed like private security. He was dressed, he's wearing Doc Martens, khaki cargo shorts, and level 3 ballistic body armor with trauma plates and stuff in it. And he has, of course, he's got a fire extinguisher sized thing of bear mace on there. He's got his gun. He's got 4 magazines on backup in case he gets an extended firefight or something. And then he has literally 3 separate combat knives on him in case one isn't enough. And then to top it off, instead of wearing a mask, he's wearing a shemagh. And if you guys don't know what a shemagh is, you know that thing, that garment that the Taliban wears over their faces? That's what he's wearing. Yeah, he does not look like a private security guard. He looks like a fucking Call of Duty character. Like, I didn't realize I was being assigned to work with the Tier 1 operator that night. Holy shit. So this guy walks up to me, and his first things he says is like, where's your gun? And I said, like, oh, I don't have one. I'm unarmed. Yeah, I would have to buy my own gun. Not only is carrying a gun for work kind of stupid, but like, I had to buy my own. That was the real thing that made me want to not do it. And so this guy walks up, like, I told him I don't have one, and he's like, are you fucking serious? God damn it! And he pulls out his phone, and he starts like talking to my manager and yelling at him, and yells at him for about 10 minutes. He comes back, he's like, all right, yeah, so there's no one else, so you're gonna be working here tonight. Yeah, the reason you're here is because last night there was an armed incident. The normal security guard was hanging out front, and a couple of kids pulled up in a car, and they pulled guns on him, and then they shined a flashlight in his eyes, and they called him a bitch. So he quit. Oh, damn. My first thought is like, I am not trying to get called a bitch. This job is too much for me. And so the guy, like, he ends up stationing me inside. Zero Dark 30 comes up and he says, okay, he stations me inside the building. He's like, gives me a walkie-talkie. This is like a 20-story apartment building downtown. He has me standing, like, leaning over the edge of the building, like, scanning the streets below for crime, ready to call it out for him. And it ended up being fucking awesome, because now I know how it feels to be Batman. And that's all I got. Thanks.